Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramona, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast.
One. Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host today and always. I don't know why I said today, but as a host, when you're recording, we can say what we want, but it's all good. I'm thrilled to have you join us today because I've been talking to the guest, sneak peek. He's pretty awesome. So get your pad and paper out. You're going to want to listen to him. We dedicated this podcast that you have a purpose. Guess what that purpose is? Servant's heart. How in your work, in your life, you can implement that and make a difference and impact in people in your life, in your network, in your business. I get to do it every day. You get to as well. It's the greatest feeling in the world. Our guests are going to come in and motivate you, inspire you, and educate you on a servant's heart, on business, and just life, how to be better in life, which we all want to do. Here's your homework today, audience. Think about how you're going to serve yourself and others today and what impact you'll create today. And the key word is today. Like anything in life, we were just talking about before the show, we wait. I'm going to start working out and I don't. I'm going to change what I eat, then you don't do it. Let's start today. It's super simple. It could be small, medium, or large, but just go serve people today. I want to thank our incredible sponsor, Pantheon Alliance. Imagine joining a community of high-income entrepreneurs and business leaders who are building a thought leader platform to help grow your business, but more importantly, impact the world. There'll be a link in the show notes, as well as you can reach out to me with any questions. So we're going to talk about music and fitness. They go so well together. My wife is a Pilates teacher. Shout out to Melinda, my wife, and my sister-in-law, who I both love very much, Tamara. She's a Zumba teacher, aerobics teacher. I notice music's a big part of their life because the music they bring on, the fitness journey is so much more fun. So my guest has all that and much more. Cliff, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Steve, for having me. Excited to be here today.
How do you combine music and fitness? Everybody does that a little different. My sister-in-law and my wife do it a little bit different. How do you do it?
Well, I do it multifaceted. So as a radio host and DJ, curating playlists, I have my own special workout mixes and playlists that I've had for years and passing and sharing that to people because, depending on the BPM of the music, whether you're warming up or cooling down, it does influence you. And the same way working out with someone, you'll push yourself harder than working out alone. Having that music as the soundtrack helps you to kind of not be so self-conscious and paying attention to certain things, and so that you can get more done and go further along because you're enjoying it. I think the main point of anything that you do is you should do it because you enjoy it. That's why I'll tell people, like, you may not love the gym, but try to find something in there that you can enjoy. Maybe it's a treadmill, maybe it's the weights, and do those things that spark joy and make you want to come back day after day. Because then, if it's something that you don't enjoy doing, then you'll stop doing it. And so it's not a one-size-fits-all solution for any one person. Not everybody's going to like every song or every style of music, but the things that you gravitate to, and obviously, constantly continue to expand your palette throughout what you're doing. But ultimately, I think that music and fitness go hand in hand. That's why you see music videos being played while people are working out and stuff like that, because having some types of distractions can be helpful, but then other music can be very meditative and very calming. And so it's all those different mixes. We're such a onion when it comes to all the layers of the complexity of the human experience, that it's never one thing. It's like people are like, they expect this magic pill or panacea, like just do this one thing and everything will happen. It's like, no, the world doesn't work that way. In the same way, you can't just work out to one muscle group. You have to work the whole body. It's all about the holistic approach. And I think music, because it's so immersive, I think it helps you to get into fitness and health and weight loss, or that journey immersively. You always want to be full in, hokey pokey, whole self in. That's the way you want to go.
Comes up with a great question in my head as you're talking. What is the best music for fitness, for exercising? I don't know if there is, but I've never asked my sister-in-law or my wife, but I'm going to ask you because you're one of the experts. What do you think?
I think it depends. I mean, there are people who obviously like, I think higher BPM, faster, like over 120 is good, but it could be dance, it could be funk, it could be soul. I think people like different genres within there, but I say, especially for like hit training or anything with high intensity, you want to go big, epic, kind of wide songs, rock music, lots of things that are heavy and they push you. Um, I think also the lyrical content can be very helpful to you too. I think the positive messages coming back to you, washing over you. You can do this. My biggest song that ended up being 1 million streams on Spotify is called "Confident." Everybody gravitated to it because it was like, you got to love yourself and you got to be confident. Fake it till you make it. Get out there. Show people what you got. And if you don't got it, go about it. Go get it.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah, because that's customizable to each person too. That's why I asked the question. It's not, there's no cut and dry because
exactly.
I might like rock, you might like heavy metal, just to say it, and they both do the same thing. But I love what you said about fitness. It's got to make it fun for you because it's not fun all the time. I mean, there's times you're tired, you come in, you know this.
Oh yeah,
I don't want to be here today, but I'm going to push through, and that's good for
yeah.
life because it teaches you great lessons. Music is very emotional. We hear a song, it brings back memories.
Mm.
Talk about that because people, I think, lose sight of music when that happens.
Yeah, that is a funny thing. It can take you just like smells and food and places. It takes you
Mm-hmm.
back to a memory and a time, and it's great because those good memories and good feelings, even the bad ones, the music is cathartic, right? So it allows you to express those emotions. The reason why people have sung these songs and performed these things and they've died and the music lives on is because a part of us wants to live on in a continuum for the next generation and legacy. But also, music is very powerful because it came before written language, spoken language. It's just wired in our DNA to carry it on generationally because it it permeates the inside of a person. It's very intrinsic. It's like that's why babies and birds, everything sings. The world has a rhythm, the world has a hum. If you're listening and attuned to it, it's like, these waves are coming through us, but you, the dial, have to tune in to eventually do that. When you look at an artist like Picasso, he said, it's not about what I see, it's about what I can make you see. That many people who create sculptures, they're like, it was in the rock the whole time. I just carved away the fluff so you can see what I always saw. It's always there. It's just, when you haven't had that type of card, then you buy it. Now you start seeing it everywhere. But it was always out there. You just weren't attuned to it. And so I think music, at least for me, the beauty of playing music specifically allowed me to cultivate discipline. And discipline, no matter how you cultivate it, if you do sports, accounting, whatever it is, building a discipline in one area allows you to translate that to other areas of your life later. So if you're able to attack your life hard in one area, and that's music, you can move it to fitness because you know how to set goals. You know how delayed gratification works. You know how you said getting out there the days you don't want to do it because those days are coming. It will always rain at some point, and you need to be prepared for that. People have this myth of motivation that I'm always going to love it. I'm always going to want to be there. That's not true. There's many times the show must go on. I don't feel like being there, but it has to happen. People paid their tickets, their money, they're there. You're not feeling well, the show must go on. You have to deliver. And I think that's important because there's so many moments in life where you're trying to find any reason to wiggle out. And that's the time you need to reaffirm and get out there and do it because people are
Yeah,
depending on you. You're
yeah.
accountable.
And you said something that was very interesting. It reminds me of kids when their parents say, "Do this." Oh no, no, I'm not. Dad, mom, dad, no, and they go to their school and their teacher says the exact same thing, and they do it.
Yeah.
Just how people are. The other thing that you said, I'm loving what you're saying because you got my emotions going. Because you said even music brings bad memories. Like I lost my dad in 17, and there's
Mm.
songs out here to remind me of him. That was a very sad time, but I might cry a little bit, but then I smile. Go, God, remember we did that. So I'm glad you mentioned that because that's not such a bad thing is bad memories from songs. It still brings up good emotions.
Hmm.
You're
Agree.
single confident. So I'm glad you wrote it. First of all, I'm going to find it. I'll be 1,000,001 streamer of the confident. It's probably many more than that, because you have to have a certain. You have to be confident of servants. It's part. You don't have to be super confident. You don't have to be narcissistic. But hey, I'm going to serve you, Cliff, because I'm confident. I know I can try to deliver something. Talk about the song. What was the impetus to write it and sing it?
You know, it's an amazing story because I had worked on it with a group out of Topanga called Mestizo Beat. I had met them when
Oh,
they were teenagers, almost 10 years before we recorded the song. So they were babies and I was in my young 20s. And so as I got to started releasing songs in 2013 under my own name, Cliff Beach, this came out in 2019. I was kind of in between jobs at the time and writing the song because I was just like, how does someone just like I met a lot of musicians who weren't really that great, but they just exuded this confidence and got so far. I was like, but their playing is so mediocre, but nobody cared because they were so confident. And so I was like, what is that like to just pretend I'm the best, you know? And then people will believe it. And that's exactly what happened. You know, I wrote the song and I was like, this is the cheesiest song. Who is going to want to hear you gotta love yourself. You know, nobody was really saying that. And so I was like, well, let's just put it out there and see what it does because I like the groove, I like the feeling. And I was like, you know, we're gonna fake it till we make it and put it out there. And then it just started gaining traction, shooting a music video on Venice Beach, more traction, and just it went bigger. And I think that's the beauty of planting seeds is that you don't know what's gonna spring up and grow. But if you plant them, if you cultivate them, and it may take years, they can eventually explode. So that's why by the time you get to the pandemic, I had planted so many seeds before. I stayed busy that entire time. I didn't have one down period. And I kept adding to my plate of writing books and doing a podcast and now having the radio show and TV show. And I never thought I was going to do any of those things, but I just kept saying yes and doing it. But the funny thing about confidence is that a lot of people, when you talk about servant leadership, I think of Mother Teresa. Anyone who knew Mother Teresa, they know. People said, who's going to go help do what in Calcutta? Teresa? Quiet Teresa? She can barely speak. She's not going to do that. But look how confident she became. So when you study the mind, and I think when we talked about gyms earlier, I think gyms need to first talk about the mind when a person comes in and the verbiage of how they speak. I can listen to someone and tell, you're not going to ever follow through on this just by the words they use and the mindset that they have. You don't have it. You don't have it. When it's a should, cool. When it's a must, come back to me because that's when now I can show you and you're ready to learn. Otherwise, you're not going to do it. So with confidence, it can be learned, just like optimism can be learned, perseverance can be learned, and leadership, servant leadership, all learned. No one has a baby and says, look, there's a leader. You have to learn, you have to grow up. You become that by the doing. And so I think, confidence is just one of those things where if you don't have it today, get out there and do it. And the more you do it and gain traction, the more confident you will be. And in the beginning, you have to fake it. Everyone faked it. The Wright brothers said, we can make a plane. How? They had no technology. They had no money. They had no backing. They did it. Same with putting a man on the moon. We're going to put a man on the moon. You don't have the technology. You don't have the money. You don't have anything. But the confidence. Our words are spirit and life. You put it out there. Your mind is its own AI. Will start figuring out solutions and pushing you towards that. And not everything will work, and it's not linear. But you will get there. You'll chop a tree even with the dollar facts. You keep hitting it long enough, it'll fall eventually.
Lesson there that's powerful, audience, that he's saying. I want to, because you didn't gloss it, but you went over, which is important, the seed planting. That is so powerful. And you did it and put it out there going, it's cheesy, but I'm going to put it, you made a decision. You didn't waffle like, I'll wait till next month, you know, like I say in the beginning of this show. But if one person downloaded it, doesn't change your life. You had 1 million. And I love that because that's what we do in business. Cliff, should we do this? I don't know. Should we put this ad out? I don't know. Now we won't do it. Well, if you put it out, one person sees it or 10 million people see it, it's going to make a change in your life. It's going to make a change in your business. So I love that, planting seeds. The book, I'm going to say this because I love the name, Side Hustle and Flow. It sounds like a movie. What inspires you? What prompted you to write this?
Yeah, it is based on the title of a movie. Hustle and Flow from MTV was the
Okay, that's
first.
where okay,
Yeah,
now because I thought I don't watch a lot of MTV, but
yeah.
keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah, with Terrence Howard, it ended up being the first movie to ever win an Oscar for rap music, with the 3 6 Mafia. But it was amazing because I love the grittiness. I love the unconventionalness. I tell people all the time, coming from Washington, D.C., I was like, no one will ever tell you this, but even like the gangbangers and the drug dealers on the street, they're business people. I was like, it's not legitimate, but they know their market. They know how to get in front of people. They're not afraid. They get things done. And so I like the grittiness and the stickiness. I was like, now, if you point that person in the right direction, they can be amazing at legal businesses because they have the mind for it and they're not afraid. So I took that hustle and flow mentality of one, I love hustle culture. I love people like Damon John on Shark Tank and FUBU and bootstrapping and learning from people who do that because most millionaires are people who came from nothing. I had an album one time and it was called "We're All Just a Kid from Somewhere." That's where we all start. We all start that way, and it's what we've become by doing things and how we maximize our potential. Some will do it and some won't. And so that allowed me to, during the pandemic, when I had no gigs, to sit down, learn about writing, because ultimately people were like, "Well, how did you shift from books to music and music to books?" They're all interrelated. All these are just telling stories. They're mediums and ways to do it, just like podcasts are a way to do it. I just want the stories out there because I want people to learn from what I did. Because ultimately, for all of us, you don't have the lifespan to go make the 20 years of mistakes I have made. You need to learn from me younger, start earlier, do it differently. It's like, why are you going to reinvent the wheel or try to make another airplane? Like someone already did that. Someone already knows the good mushrooms versus the bad ones. Just eat the good ones, move on with your life, do something else. And so this book was just kind of writing down all this information that I wanted to disseminate in a resource because I always focus on reading a lot of books. So last year, I made a plan to read or listen to one book a week. So 52, I ended up doing 90. So when I put a book out there and condense 100 books into one, if you don't read any books or listen to anything else, you'll get a lot of resources quickly. And that's what I wanted, just kind of like, sometimes your life is the only Bible that people are going to read. And I wanted to show them this is what servant leadership is. This is a way that you can do it and make money, or do it and just carve out the niches and the time and influence to your little group, of community. But the main thing is that with Marie Kondo, I loved her work of teaching people how to tidy up, and I love how she says, "Pick this up. Does it spark joy? Does it give you joy?" Because so much of life erodes the joy. And all the cultures in the blue zones that live over 100, they have a reason for living. They have something compelling to get them out of bed. It can't just be, I need to pay these bills. That's not enough. Because eventually you get to a point of having enough money to do that, and you don't get any happier after that. There's no more joy. You have to figure out something else to self actualize. And so, unfortunately, there's no Life 101 class. Nobody tells you, like, this is how you put your life together. You need to figure out what gives you joy. And I was like, yeah, I need to make a book that says it's about the hustle and the flow, because everyone's like work life balance. No, no, no. Now it's work life integration. It's an ecosystem. How do I build the synergies? How do I learn from my business to give back to my community? How to learn from my community to better serve my business? But the point is that I want to serve, because the secret of living is giving. And if you give enough, Zig Ziglar said, if you help enough people get what they want, then you can get what you want. We ultimately get what we want by being servant leaders.
Well said. And I love what you said about the hustle and flow, gangbangers. I studied Pablo Escobar, and people like my wife and incredible businessman. Audience, if you look at just that part of it, yeah, he was doing something completely illegal and died for it and all that. But I think he could have run Facebook. He could have run, a book publishing company, because they're so smart. So you caught my heart big time. You've got massive awards. John Lennon Songwriting Contest. Your music's been featured on HBO and BMW. I don't usually do this, but these are big accolades, and congratulations to you. How has that changed you and helped you serve more?
Yeah, the thing is, it changes you from we are always talking about the doing. It's like you did this
Doing.
record, you did that record, but it's the becoming. 5 years ago, I became sober from alcohol, and I explained to people when you go through 12 steps and stuff like that, they're always like, okay, I'm so and so, I'm an alcoholic. It's been this many days since I've had a drink, and I don't think about it that way. I'm just a person who became something different. I just am a person who doesn't drink. And once you become that, I don't have to think about it. It's not a temptation for me. And so I think all these things, you applaud the achievements and you applaud the accolades, but really you applaud the effort because the doing influences the becoming and who I became by doing it. I like myself more and am more true to myself now by doing these things. And they just recognized me with awards or placements. But the main thing was still back to planting the seeds. I had to put it out there and something happened. If I didn't do anything, if I have what's called a hard drive record, it just lives rent free on my laptop, then nobody will hear it and no placements can be done and no streams can be done. I don't have an avenue. So I think it's just plant all the seeds you can because there's not a one-to-one relationship. You will get what you will get exponentially more than what you put in. You plant an apple seed, you get a whole apple tree with a lot of apples, with a lot of seeds that will pollinate. And many years to come after your life, there'll be people benefiting from the work that you've done.
2 seeds analogies. I love it. You're 2 for 2 on those analogies. Kudos, because they're very true. I want a bunch of apples. And I love what you said. These awards, which are massive. HBO Max, BMW, it celebrates your hard work. Mm-hmm. Not that you're recognized and not this. And that's cherry on the cake. The cake is your hard work because it probably wasn't easy. Well, I know it wasn't easy. You're telling me that. We're coming to the end here. I like to end. Well, let's talk real quick about your podcast. Name of your podcast. Where can they find it?
The name of the podcast is Deeper Grooves. We've recorded with 50 different musicians, different interviews. Now we've moved it over to a radio show, which had over 200 shows on the SoCalSound.org. So you'll see new interviews for the SoCal Sound radio station and Deeper Grooves there. Every Saturday, 10 p.m. and in the archive on the SoCalSound.org.
We'll have all the information in the show notes for people to have access. Let's end with a fun question. You're a fun guy, so you're going to love this. I can tell you're always smiling. So I've got a reservation at a restaurant for you, table of 4. You're going to obviously sit in one of the chairs. So the 3 empty chairs, who would you invite, whether they're dead or alive, and what food would you order?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I could go so many ways. I have to invite, since I can invite anybody, I'm going to invite
anybody, your choice.
Who? Because they're dead, I think that would be the most interesting. So I would invite 3 artists that I love. So I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan, huge Prince fan, huge James Brown fan. And they're kind of all interrelated. So I would bring them together. And what would I order? Man, to be a person who focuses on health, this would be totally unhealthy. Yeah. We would have a whole soul food meal. I feel like they want a Southern experience, and we're just going to have it all because that's going to be our cheat meal, cheat day. And I want them to feel good, especially because coming back from the dead, you're probably hungry.
I've asked that 300 times that question. That's the best answer I've heard. If I'm coming back from the dead, at what a table. I probably have to bring a 5th chair. I'd love to talk to all 3 of those guys, how they ran the music and what they were thinking. Blessed to have you on this podcast, Cliff. You're enlightening, you're fun, but you get the servant's heart, which is why you're on here, and I really appreciate you. People are listening. Some people are going, I got to reach out to Cliff. How can they find you?
Yeah, we have a blog, sihustleandflow.net. We put 5 articles a week up there. You can also sign up for the email list there, or you can email me, Cliff, at sihustleandflow.net. All my DMs for all my social media, Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook, everything is at Cliff Beach Music, just like it's spelled. Cliff like the cliff, beach like the beach, music. And you can find all the streaming music and the books under Cliff Beach as well.
Makes it simple, audience. Plus, I can't wait to listen to Confident. I'm going to do that. Homework for you guys today, 2 things. 1, Stream the Confident. Go on Spotify and find it and listen to it. And give me feedback, which I can give you Cliff, or give him feedback. That's what it's all about. Also, here's your last piece of homework. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. And here's why. It's not, I love subscribers. I love having this, but here's podcast to me. Even Cliff's podcast is a gift. If somebody wants to learn more about music or learn more about fitness or just wants to be motivated, just give them the gift. Oh, my cousin needs to hear this. And they listen for 10 minutes and they go out and they reach out to Cliff, or it changes their life. Cliff says something like planting seeds and they start doing it and their business blows up. That's a gift from you. We don't want to do this every day. Cliff's doing it. I'm doing it. Jump in and do it. And that's one of your resources of the podcast. With that being said, me and Cliff want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast. And we'll see you all in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.